Now turn to the business of this game. More than 50 years ago, the U.S. government ended Project Blue Book.
Let me share with you the first video that we have here today, which shows an observation in real time.
There's a bright orb running the length of my palm.
That's the object that we're looking at right there.
Oh, Lord,
in
thank
that
you,
area.
my Lord.
Is
Wow.
that it right there?
And Alexi, what I'll ask is if you can stop it at a certain point.
Okay, if you could stop that. That's not that.
Have we attempted to communicate with those objects?
No.
Are you aware of a document that appeared around 2019, sometimes called the Admiral Wilson Memo or EW Notes Memo?
I am not.
You're not.
I'm not personally aware of that.
Okay. So you're not aware of that.
I'm not aware, Congressman.
This is not worth wasting resources on.
Getting to the point, I'll tell you right now, I'm going to start doing a lot less. You're going to notice a huge, I'm going to do a few more to finish up my obligations, but I'm not doing these much longer. This is it. You want more of the same, then go back to the last 70 years of bullshit, because that's what people think you are. They think you're full of shit because you talk about wacky stuff. You've got no evidence. And because he said he wrote a book on something what does that mean? It means nothing. You got to show evidence. You got to, where are the bona fides? Where are the videos? Where's the reports? Where's the discussions to Congress and the classified briefings? They're nowhere, because I haven't seen them on the Hill when I'm there. I haven't seen them in DC when I'm going by the Pentagon or anywhere else. They're not in those meetings. So you're not going to stop me from doing my pursuits, because I'm taking this very seriously. And I think, I was, when I first came into this, people told me, oh, ufology eats its own. I'm like, what the hell is ufology? I don't even know what that is. I'm not a ufologist. I never have been. I never will be. So stop wrapping me into that. I am not into ufology. I'm not. In fact, it was up to me. I'd blow it up into a million pieces, as I said before.
Next question, Jeff, where are you? Right there.
Yeah. I just want to thank each and every one of y'all for all you've done to your bodies. It's still real to me, damn it. I mean, thank you.
Easy, man.
Thank y'all guys. Y'all are awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Funk, for saying what needed to be said. I don't want to see another one of these.
Number 5, trans medium travel.
My gosh. My gosh. My gosh. My gosh.
The 5 observables.
My gosh.
The 5 observables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 5, trans medium travel.
My gosh. My gosh. My gosh. My gosh.
The Chris Bledsoe story, as summarized by Nick Hinton. Part 1 of this encounter started on January 8, 2007, when Chris, 3 coworkers and his son had an encounter that included a face-to-face interaction, which included hours of missing time. Chris did not want to share his story because he was afraid for his reputation, but he eventually contacted MUFON, who created a documentary about his encounter, and they documented several anomalies, including Chris being healed of Crohn's disease. During hypnotic regression, he spoke about being taken on board the craft, where the occupants informed him that they were here to serve creation. However, the MUFON documentary made them look foolish, and his family was ridiculed by the public. High strangeness continued for the next 5 years, and Chris began to believe that the ETs were angelic. Chris stopped telling his story until 2012, when he met the lady. And this is when his experiences went from creepy to awe-inspiring. Check out my next video or Chris's thread if you want more information about the details of this event. Part 2 of the Chris Bledsoe story by Nick Hinton. Having just met the lady in 2012, high strangeness continued to occur, including objects materializing out of thin air. The lady and these anomalies got the attention of Tom DeLonge, Jim Semivan, and others from the CIA and NASA. and John B. Alexander, who was impressed by Chris's newfound ability to do remote viewing. At this point, Chris found out that the MUFON documentary was actually a hit piece that was orchestrated by people that do not want the spiritual aspect of UFOs being discussed. The higher-ups at NASA take the lady serious and believe she's been appearing to humans for thousands of years, and is here to help humanity transition into the age of Aquarius. She brings a warning that Mother Nature will literally shake us off of her if we are too destructive, and that the wisest path forward is by choosing love over fear. Nick states that he doesn't know if he believes all of it, but he at least knows the phenomenon is real, and that you look at this information presented with an open mind.
This is the Bledsoe family.
Solid object. I just walked out and asked for it to appear, and there it is. I wrote over the sign, totally silent. Thank you. There it goes.
So every night for 15 years, my dad experiences orbs, and they show up and they're glowing balls of light. And sometimes they get really close, sometimes they get far away, in the trees, in the sky, in the water, it doesn't really matter. But it's an ongoing thing that happens in and around us.
I thought that was a star.
No, it did. It appeared right over the tree.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my gosh.
I told you. I saw it. I come out here to turn the gas up.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. We are back on track tonight, and boy, I had quite an incredible weekend. I took what could only be described as the hike from hell, and it ended up being 8 miles trudging through state forest game lands, and I did get lost. For those unaware, you cannot depend on a phone for GPS in a very thick forest. But I had anticipated that. So luckily, I almost didn't, but luckily I had a topographical map of the area and a compass with me. And with that, I was able to find the nearest road, if you could call it a road, get out, and eventually get back to where I was supposed to be. But the reason for this hike is interesting, and I'll have more to share about that recently. I was looking for something out there in the middle of nowhere in the woods, and I found it. And it's very interesting and will affect my future. So, but we'll have more to share about that soon. Tonight, I know many of you are here to hear me smashing Third Phase of Moon some more. Considering their recent appearance on Alien Addict Ollie's show, where they admitted to some things that I think a lot of people missed. So we will cover that tomorrow. We will have another installment of Third Phase of Fake tomorrow, and some new information to share about their ridiculous explanations and claims that the debunks in the documentary recently released are incorrect. I beg to differ, and we'll have more proof and more evidence to share tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. If you're here to just watch, somebody finally take it to those clowns, I understand. And it's been a long time coming. Somebody had to do it. And if no one else would, let it be me. We'll have more to share on that tomorrow. Now, if you are not aware, there have been 2 recent documentaries released. One of them, and by the way, I want to clear up some confusion, because Sapiens Culture released the first one, and everybody started calling it a documentary. So, admittedly, I did too. It's 2 hours in length, looks like a documentary, sounds like a documentary. People called it a documentary, which is really not Oh, sorry about that. Somehow I got booted from my own live stream, but we're back on. Hopefully, that was an isolated bug. Windows 10. I much prefer to live stream on Linux. First of all, it doesn't tell me time to reboot right in the middle of a live broadcast like Windows 10 seems to do. Yes. So where was I at? So, there's more information. Oh, clarifying the documentary thing. So, Sapiens Culture released a 2-hour episode of what he's calling the Hoax Files. And interestingly, he's going to be doing 2-hour episodes like that on many different subjects. Third Phase of Moon was just one of them, but he will possibly be doing another episode of that. It's a series he's producing, not a standalone documentary. So after he released the first, what people are calling a documentary, inspired by that and the fact that Third Phase of clowns and Rich kept lying through their teeth, saying, no, they had to go back 12, 13 years. There's stuff within 5 years in that piece by Sapiens Culture. By the way, both links are in the description of this video. Both links will take you to Odyssey, where we had to put it because Third Phase of Moon are threatening all kinds of copyright claims against anybody who dare posts any of their content, even though it's clearly it is fair use. And I'll have more to say about that as well tomorrow. But just to clarify, first of all, Sapiens Culture did his own 2-hour piece called, The Hoax Files. And that was his first episode of that series he's producing on Third Phase of Moon. He didn't intend it to be a standalone documentary, though that's what people called it, but just to correct the record. And secondly, the piece that we produced here is also the newest Third Phase of Moon. That one I can call a documentary about the recent fakes, frauds, hoaxes, and misrepresentations, all within the past 5 years. So that one was produced without Sapiens Culture. That's not one of the hoax files from his project. It's a separate project. Now we've got that out of the way. And I really encourage you, please, both links to both pieces on Third Phase of Moon. The first one covers mostly their early hoaxes, but it does include some of their most recent ones. And the second one covers recent fakes, frauds, hoaxes, and misrepresentations. Both are free to watch. Costs you absolutely nothing. They're not even monetized on Odyssey. No commercials as far as I remember or understand. Free to watch. So, some people have a lot of lip flapping to give you and excuses to give you. We've got 4 hours and 23 minutes of evidence, and people can lie through their fake teeth and say we didn't prove anything. I invite you. Who's telling the truth here and who's lying? I'm not being paid to say anything about Third Phase of Moon. Those documentaries are posted on Odyssey for free. Some people who are the only people you will find defending Third Phase of Moon is Third Phase of Moon themselves and people who they pay. Isn't that funny? Not a conflict of interest at all. So, I'm getting a little pissed off that people are, like there's some doubt here as to who's telling the truth. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that some people have to call people pedophiles that are critical of Third Phase of Moon. Now the newest is let's tell somebody who has cancer who's critical of Third Phase of Moon that they're faking their cancer. Let's float that rumor. This is such a classic case of kill the messenger, and they don't want you to see those documentaries that are in the description of this video. Why is a channel with 800,000 subscribers copyright striking a channel with 200 subscribers, or even commenting on anything put out by a tiny little nothing channel like us? And there's a reason for that. They're terrified of you seeing this. This is damaging to them and their newfound claims of credibility. Don't let their lies of credibility work. Don't let them manipulate you any further. Watch those documentaries and you decide, are they hoaxers, fraudsters, fakers, liars, or am I? I was called a hoaxer by the people in their camp with no evidence of that. I never hoaxed anything in my life. And by the way, Rich, you dummy, every time I think he can't get any dumber, he gets dumber. Because now we've got clips of him saying, I never hoaxed anything. I've never been caught hoaxing anything. And you can check my Twitter. It's at Stephen Cambion on Twitter. And there is a lovely clip of him faking a spirit orb while he's doing a show on Ouija boards, and dumb enough to walk into the frame still holding the laser pointer in his hand after a point of light mysteriously appears in the background. And I did some tests with both the red and green laser pointer. It looked nearly exact to his so-called spirit orbs. Never hoaxed anything, huh? Great. But that may give you some insight into why Rich is okay with working for people who fake things, because apparently he fakes things too. And it's not just that, and we've got more for you. Oh, we've got so much more. It's amazing. Can't wait to drop that tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now on to tonight. I thought I've been doing some thinking about the bigger picture, and I think that it's safe to say that many people forget the bigger picture here. We get so focused on the UFO con artists and grifters like Third Phase of Moon, who, by the way, just admitted to felony fraud on Alien Addict's show, I believe. Great job. It's out of statute, though, I guess. I have to check. We get so focused on the UFO side of the con artists and grifters that we seem to forget that there's a bigger picture here. And the bigger picture here tells a better truth. And that truth is that paranormal pushers. But here we have to define the term. What is a paranormal pusher? I have defined that term as anybody who is pushing or profiting from paranormal activity and stories. It's not just UFOs or aliens. It's ghost shows, demon pushers, demon possession pushers, shadow people pushers, ancient aliens pushers, Bigfoot pushers, psychic pushers, people who talk to the dead or medium pushers, near-death experience pushers, past lives pushers, psychic healer pushers, med bed pushers, secret space program pushers, super soldier pushers, crop circle pushers, alien abduction pushers, cryptid creature pushers, and more. Anyone pushing things as paranormal and profiting from it could be considered a paranormal pusher. And it's very interesting to note that there are some very common traits. And if you sample some of these other paranormal pushers, for example, if you're like me and you're used to mostly the UFO variety of the paranormal pusher, I invite you to spend some time in those other communities. Go watch a bunch of ghost shows or shows about demons, ancient alien shows and podcasts, Bigfoot shows and podcasts, psychic shows and podcasts. And if you were to do that, you will notice some very familiar things from the world of UFO and alien pushers that you may already be familiar with. Because it seems to me, on close examination, investigation, there are some very common traits among the paranormal pushers. And we've talked about some of these traits before when it comes to the UFO pushers. I call them UFO profiteering hucksters. There are some common traits, some things they all do. So as a public service tonight, we'll be talking about these common traits. So you too will be able to identify a paranormal pusher. First, they all do this. They put the cart before the horse. They run to hype and sell stories before they have done any due diligence and have anything like verifiable scientific evidence or proof. No, instead of getting the proof for a claim, they make the claim first. The claims always come before the proof. And in many or most cases, we never get to the part where the proof arrives. Instead, we get the claims and a lot of tantalizing maybe evidence, tantalizing maybe proof, tantalizing could be proof, but we don't get the proof. And that is because paranormal pushers, it's almost a job requirement. They have to put the cart before the horse. And they hype and hype and hype and hype to sell the stories. And then you tune in for the big inevitable letdown that they don't have any proof. They have some stories, or they have some story, usually secondhand, sometimes third hand, or some legend, or it's usually very weak. But they put the cart before the horse in order to sell the story. You got to sell the story to make money as a paranormal pusher. And if you can't show proof, here's another thing they all have in common: hype masters. I just wrote hype masters. They are all masters of hype. Just hype up whatever you're selling to high heavens. And if pressed for proof, then you give everybody your maybe proof, could be proof, might be proof. And if you don't really have any proof, just pretend you do, to get people to tune in anyway, and then they will experience the very big letdown. Next, all paranormal pushers have something in common, and that is that they overpromise and underdeliver. They all do this. In order to hype things out the wazoo, it's almost a requirement. You cannot get people to tune in unless you really hype this event, story, documentary, book, comic book. Now there's people hyping comic books as true stories, Corey Good and the like, and they all overpromise and underdeliver. They overpromise big things. My favorite of the overpromise and underdeliverers recently has got to be Ross Coulthart, who stood in front of cameras and said that we have, quote, definitive proof of alien technology, all confirmed by this man. Cut to a shot of Michio Kaku. Wow, that is a big overpromise. And did he underdeliver? Of course he did, because they didn't have proof of anything. Nothing. They didn't have anything. The person doing the analysis of his balls, the metal balls, get your mind out of the gutter, the metal balls, the guy who had proof of that, he said he had proof of alien technology, I think, based on those metal ball shavings. But at the time he made the promotional material claiming they had, quote, definitive proof of alien technology, all confirmed by Michio Kaku, unquote, the person who was doing the actual analysis of the metal shavings, that would be one Gary Nolan, CIA, UFO threat narrative, PSYOP operative. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Gary Nolan works for the CIA. He's admitted to working for the CIA. I don't trust a word out of that guy's mouth. But he was the guy who was supposed to do the analysis, which would provide us with definitive proof of alien technology. He didn't even begin his analysis work before Ross Coulthart ran to overpromise and underdeliver so that people would tune into his latest cavalcade of bullshittery. That's why he did that. It's the overpromise and underdeliver. The Cosmic Con swindle, we've called it before. And you overpromised, Ross Coulthart, badly. And that led to the inevitable big letdown. It always leads to the inevitable big letdown. Every time these paranormal pushers or Cosmic Con artists overpromise and underdeliver, eventually people see what they were hyping up, and that leads to the inevitable big letdown. No proof, no definitive proof of alien technology like you promised. Oh, man. And what was the excuse for that one? His network, they got a little too sensational with the promos. He stood there like a dummy reading that copy He knew it was being recorded and they were using it for a promo. So those excuses or blaming someone else for the overpromise and underdeliver that Ross Coulthard just did, it doesn't work out. He's responsible. He stood there on camera saying those things, knowing they were using it for a promo. He was in on the overpromise and underdeliver. Don't let him blame other people for doing that. He did that. All right. So part of the overpromise and underdeliver is that sometimes, quite often actually, the paranormal pusher will make outrageous claims in the absence of any evidence to support those outrageous claims. Also, another big one, when you're overpromising and you're going to underdeliver, I've seen many people do this. Sometimes these paranormal pushers will float stories right around the time that they are selling something that will help them sell their wares. A very recent example, and I love this one, this just kind of happened today. James Fox has a documentary film coming out about the Varginha alien, so-called alien encounters, which is a 26-year-old story that no one proved 26 years ago, but he's making a new documentary about it. And wouldn't you know that no one has ever heard about video of the aliens until recently? And isn't it a coincidence? I don't think it is. That suddenly there's all kinds of talk surrounding this UFO alien encounter incident from 26 years ago that never had any smoking gun evidence or proof, that now people are suddenly coming forward saying that there's video. There's video of those aliens and I seen it. Great. And there are people coming forward and saying there's video and still images of these aliens. Even James Fox alluded to this in the lead up, the hype up to promoting his new film. And why would he do that unless he has footage in his documentary? He doesn't. There's no footage of aliens in his new documentary. There's no still images. But I don't think it's a coincidence that James Fox is right now hyping up this documentary so everybody buys it. And suddenly now, after 26 years, there's a guy coming forward who says that he saw video of the so-called aliens and that smoking gun proof, that evidence of those aliens is going to be released, quote, soon, unquote. Well, pardon me if I don't hold my breath waiting to see those videos and images of those aliens. And to be very, very clear, I would love that to happen. I would get the popcorn and watch that video 800 times. I would do 5 shows on it. I would get experts in here on puppets and CGI and everything, and we'll analyze that footage. But am I holding my breath waiting for that? No, because unfortunately, James Fox is about to become another in my list of the dark side users, because I don't think that he has a valid reason or excuse to be hyping up the fact that there's footage of it. If it's not in your documentary, why even mention that if you don't have the footage? Except you want people to believe the story is true. You want people to believe that the smoking gun proof of or evidence that it's true is going to come out just a few months after your documentary. So you better buy this documentary so that you too will be up to speed on this smoking gun evidence of alien visitation on Earth that we're all going to get in a few months, right? Or I'm sorry, quote, soon, unquote. I don't know when. Nobody knows when. This is a huge problem, but it's part of the hyping process. I, for one, do not think it's a coincidence that suddenly people are making claims that there exists videos of these aliens. You mean to tell me that for 26 years, nobody said that there was videos, people investigated that story to death. And what you mostly get is a couple of eyewitness testimonies of people who saw something strange. And that's it. Stories. I'm hopeful, though, that there will be other new evidence in his documentary. I don't want to take him off my list of my very short list of researchers that I find at least credible, partially credible, might be credible, could be credible. That's what we're down to. I barely have a list of people that I think are credible. Now I'm down to that guy might be credible. He could be credible. But when we see this hype train going off for James Fox's new project, suddenly I get concerned that he too is often in paranormal pusher land, and he doesn't have the goods. He is going to be hyping up what I predict is going to be mostly a retelling of a 26-year-old legend that nobody ever proved was true or real. A 26-year-old story that never had any actual proof or evidence that would be verifiable proof of the claims made. And remember, if you're going to be a paranormal pusher, the claims have to be huge. And in James Fox's case, aliens crash landed and we've been visited by aliens, and the government got a hold of the aliens, and huge claims. And again, I don't think that there is sufficient evidence to support making claims that outrageous, that out there, that fantastical. There's just not, and I hope I'm wrong. And I'm going to leave it at that when we come to this new James Fox documentary. By the way, as soon as I can watch it, I will be purchasing it. And then I'm going to I might have to add James Fox to the list of people that when I meet them, I'm going to turn them upside down and shake them and get my $10 or $20 back or whatever it costs. Kind of like the Third Phase thing. They owe me $13. And yes, I want my $13 back because they sold me a documentary full of lies and laughable fake stories for $13. I think that they defrauded me of $13, and I want my money back. Am I going to feel the same way about James Fox's new documentary? Probably, but I hope not. Along with the paranormal pushers, remember too that there is also the matter of the Cosmic Con shuffle. Now, in the case of people that aren't selling alien and UFO stories, maybe Cosmic Con shuffle is not the appropriate term. We'll call it the paranormal pusher shuffle then, for purposes of tonight's discussion. And the way that works is, after they have hyped whatever they're selling out the wazoo, and then people get pissed off that they overhyped it, that it was lies, that it wasn't true, that it was a hoax, whatever the case may be, these people all do what I call the Cosmic Con shuffle for UFO and alien people, or we could call the paranormal pusher shuffle for everyone else. And that is that they get caught overhyping and under-delivering, or just straight get caught with a completely fake story that they're selling. They got to shuffle away. They got to shuffle away in shame for a little while until everybody forgets that they got caught selling or a completely fake story, or just overhyping and under-delivering and leading everybody into the big letdown. So usually they will go away for a little while. The Cosmic Con shuffle or the paranormal pusher shuffle means things get hot, you get caught selling fake shit or hoaxing stuff, you got to go away for a while. Now, I think it's incredibly funny that Third Phase of Moon, they must not do the Cosmic Con shuffle and shuffle away in shame. In fact, I don't think they have any shame whatsoever, because a documentary film comes out that is 2 hours long, detailing all of this proof and evidence of all these things that they have faked over the years. Yes, including using their 4-year-old son to defraud YouTube and YouTube users out of ad revenue, using a 4-year-old innocent child. That's in the documentary. You would think they'd be ashamed of that. And all the other, they scripted a fakes hoax busting thing with some of their friends. It's very obvious to me that it's scripted. Let's see, what else is in there? Fake alien CGI that they made and pretended it was real aliens. All of this overwhelming evidence that they have faked 30, they have hoaxed 30 videos. Oh, my other favorite is that somebody found all the locations of some of their early videos and found that 10 UFO videos that they posted were all filmed within 2 miles of their house. Yeah. And they pretended that people sent them those UFO videos from all around the world. You would think that these guys would do the Cosmic Con shuffle and go away for a little while in shame, but no, they didn't do it, because less than a week after a documentary proving all of this fake stuff that they have done over the years, what do? They do another hoax and claim that there's recovered Roswell photos from 1947. And immediately after they post it, everybody that has a brain that looks at it says, those are AI generated images. Those aren't from Roswell in 1947. But hey, they put a question mark at the end of Roswell photos from 1947. So that somehow absolves them of putting out completely and totally provably fake information. But hey, they put it out quickly, right? That's what Rich and them are always saying. Well, we put it out first. We get there first. Great. They put out fake information faster than anyone else. I'm so glad they put that fake information, 100% provably fake information out quickly. It's amazing to me, though, that Third Phase of Moon, an entire documentary comes out showing that they fake everything and that all their stuff is fake. A few days later, they're putting out 100% provably fake Roswell photos, but they put a question mark. So it's okay that we, did the overhype and underdeliver, inevitably leading to the big letdown, right? I know somebody was all hyped about that. Like, wow, they got new Roswell photos, Steve. And I said, no, they don't. No, they don't. And he, not me, I wasn't disappointed. I know everything that they post is fake. 99% of it is. But my friend, who is a true believer, by the way, was very, very disappointed when he saw that those were just AI generated, completely and totally fake images and had nothing to do with Roswell. So we're going to get into some specific examples of paranormal pushers now. And this comes from not just the world of UFOs. Remember, paranormal pushers aren't just UFO guys, aren't just alien guys. They're the ghost guys, the Bigfoot guys, the crop circle guys, the psychic guys, the ancient aliens people, secret space program people, the super soldiers. Oh, I love the super soldiers. It's like story time for dummies who like read too many X-Men comic books when they were kids or something. Great. But let's get to some specific examples. In the world of ghosts and demons, haunted houses, etc., Zach Baggins is a very big name. He's had several television shows and television specials and more. And Zach Baggins is a paranormal pusher because Zach Baggins does all the same things that I have described that the UFO clowns do and alien pushers do. He overhypes, he underdelivers. It always leads to the inevitable big letdown. He hypes stuff out the wazoo when he has absolutely no evidence or proof of anything. And he does the Cosmic Con or Paranormal Pusher Shuffle. Every time a big hyped up project of his goes south, and there's been several times that has happened, he goes away for a little while till people forget that he overhyped and underdelivered again. And then he comes back. But It's interesting in the case of Zach Baggins that disgruntled coworkers and even friends of his who worked on his so-called production television shows, they began coming out and talking about and giving admissions of witnessing absolutely 100% staged events, completely scripted fictional events that were scripted, where people had to memorize lines and you say this when you hear the noise and all of these things. So it is very, very clear that Zach Baggins faked or hoaxed so-called ghostly or paranormal activity. Now, one would might question, why would he do that? And I have one word for you: money. Because you see, friends, there is no show. How much is the television network going to pay you if you send in a 2-hour show every week where nothing happens? There is no show about ghosts if there is not some ghostly activity to push as ghostly or demonic in order to sell the project. So it's very clear that some paranormal pushers resort to trickery, manipulation, hoaxing, and deception in order to have material to sell you. Okay. Now, besides, and do I believe that they completely and totally fake things? Yes. Some shows absolutely do it. There's too much money to be made, and you can turn something as simple as a noise into so-called specter or ghostly activity. They do it all of the time. So in the case of Zach Baggins especially, there have been some whistleblowers who come out and told us that they totally fake things on those shows, scripted the show, and they faked events for dramatic purposes and so that they would have some activity to sell. Next, included in our introduction here was a couple of pieces on Christopher Bledsoe. Christopher Bledsoe is a one-stop shop for paranormal happenings, friends. In fact, oh, now I got to find it again because my whole browser crashed when I rezzed out of the show earlier. I don't know why. Let me see if we can find that. I have quite a, oh no, it's a different email address. One second. I have an interesting graphic to share with you about Christopher Bledsoe and his claims. It is ridiculous the number of claims, paranormal claims, that this Christopher Bledsoe claims. He is the ultimate paranormal pusher, and interestingly, is very sought after among paranormal people or people selling things because he can sell all kinds of stories. And here we have a graphic from a recent appearance of his at a UFO conference. So here he is called the super experiencer, Christopher Bledsoe, because he is a one-stop shop for paranormal activity. But look at these claims, friends, and ask yourself, where is the proof of even one of these claims, let alone all of them? Super experiencer Christopher Bledsoe, UFO sightings, orbs, various sizes and colors. He's experienced extraterrestrial entities, fairy, fae, or natural spirit entities, angelic or celestial entities, strange entities, Bigfoot entities in his dreams. Good thing they clarified that, or I would think he really was hanging out with Bigfoot. Blessed Virgin Mary, the Lady. And the Lady, friends, remember his claims of the Lady, because it's going to become important in another story we're running this week. By the way, Wednesday, 9 p.m., finally, Murder in UFO Land. The first episode is Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time this week, for sure. His claims of the Lady made their way to somebody who ended up murdering someone. And all of his mythology created around this mystical alien, angel, blessed mother, whatever you want to call it, his lady was mentioned in a murder video. his lady was mentioned in a call made from the murderer to his brother right before he did the murder. He also claims to have divine feminine encounters with ghosts or deceased people, poltergeist activity in or near one's house. That is, objects moving, doors opening, knocks or footsteps, etc. He experiences apports, items disappearing and or reappearing around the house. Psi capacity in individuals activated. That is ESP, precognitive knowledge, etc. He's experiencing near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, missing time, crop circles, hitchhiker effects. That is the phenomena following someone home after they had visited your home. And he's got powerful dreams. I didn't know that was paranormal, but apparently having powerful dreams can get you extra money at a conference. I don't know why he would list that. Dreams of teaching or being taught. Physical traces, evidence of the phenomenon. Why don't we ever see the physical traces or evidence of the phenomenon? He experiences body marks, weird smells. Yeah, that one always gets me. Oh, there's a weird smell. It must be paranormal. You see how paranormal pushers work? We just had a weird smell in our house. Turns out there was a dead mouse under the crawl space. It wasn't paranormal. It was a dead mouse, but okay. Weird smells is paranormal. Weird sounds. Negative health effects, that is illness or injury. Positive health effects, that is healings. And again, I'm going to reference our Murder in UFO Land series, which starts this Wednesday at 9 p.m. Murder in UFO Land. This man is right now claiming that he can heal cancer. Christopher Bledsoe is claiming that he can heal cancer or diabetes or other long-term chronic illnesses for people. He's making those claims, and then it gets into a whole cult-like situation where you send a lock of hair of the person and a picture of them, and he prays for them and puts them in his hollow tree. It's a wacky story, and we'll get more into detail about this man, Christopher Bledsoe, and the cult around him this Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Let's see. He also experiences phenomena caught on camera and video. And by the way, I've seen a bunch of his videos, and they're lights in the sky. There's no proof they're anything other than lights in the sky. The burden of proof is on him. Phenomena hard to catch on camera video. Gifts or objects received from beings or the phenomenon in general. He experiences the Oz factor. That is, everything goes silent before or during an encounter. He experiences multiple witnesses to various anomalous or paranormal events episodes. The capacity to heal others. Again, this man is claiming through intermediaries like Jonathan Davies and others who hook him up with people that are chronically sick, and I believe recruit people into this cult around him. He has the capacity to heal others. Why isn't he working in a children's leukemia ward then? Is it because his healing powers from the aliens and the lady and the angels are all bullshit? That's what I believe. Telepathy. Great. He experiences downloads. That is, large amounts of information being available all of a sudden. He experiences mystical experiences of unity and love. Okay. So Christopher Bledsoe is one of those one-stop shops for paranormal activity. And look at this amount of claims. He stood up in front of an audience and told people, yeah, I'm experiencing all these things. And by the way, I know someone who was there. Guess what the proof is? Scant or nothing. That's what the proof is. And we've also got his son, dead to rights, doing stupid things like putting a flashlight behind a Lego man on a rock and claiming that it was one of the Space Brothers. I'm sorry, but if you were having genuine contact with aliens, you wouldn't be playing with flashlights and Lego men on rocks. You would show us real proof, real evidence. But we don't get real proof. We don't get real evidence. We get this guy getting paid to stand up at a conference and make all of these outrageous fantastical fairy tale land story claims. Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? This, my friends, is the ultimate paranormal pusher. He could work at all these conferences. He could work at the ghost ones, the alien ones, the UFO ones, the Bigfoot ones, the psychic ones, right? And I have a feeling that that is by design. That is by design, friends. So lots and lots of fantastical claims from this man. Shouldn't he have some evidence? And by the way, this guy's stories are so bad and so easy to debunk that even MUFON, who I think are a joke of an organization, sort of figured out that he was faking things and put it in this so-called documentary. It's really a series of some kind of MUFON series where they investigate things. And then he claimed that that was a hit piece. They did all that on purpose to make him look bad. No, they didn't. They found that he was deceptive and faking things. And they put that on the film. Just another paranormal pusher who gets caught faking things. And we're all expected to just believe. You don't need proof. You don't need evidence. He's a paranormal pusher. He's making money pushing this stuff. Where's the proof of it? Where's the evidence? Or is this just pure consumer fraud? And I keep saying this, and I stick by it. If you are knowingly deceiving the public for fake stories that you do not have proof or evidence for, it's a form of consumer fraud, or could be considered a form of consumer fraud, especially as far as some of these paranormal pushers go. If it can be proven that you purposefully and deceptively faked a paranormal event, any paranormal event, a ghost sighting, a UFO sighting, a Bigfoot sighting, and then you made money off of faking it, that's consumer fraud. It's called theft by deception, and it is a felony if you collect a certain amount of money over a few $100s. In the case of Third Phase of Moon and others, we can actively show that they have collected tens of thousands of dollars, apparently, deceptively, purposefully, putting fake things up on their channel, and then claiming it was a real event. In other words, Third Phase of Moon, they said, well, we were doing these experimental films about aliens and alien abductions and spaceships. So we put some of that on our channel to see how people would react to it. Yeah, they put some of that completely, totally fake aliens and UFO material that they created that was fictional up on their channel, and they pretended that it was real alien footage or real UFO footage or real spaceship footage. And then they deceptively collected YouTube ad revenue for that. That's theft by deception. Look it up. It's a felony. So the paranormal pushers, let's move on to the next example, and that is Finding Bigfoot. I'm sorry, call it a guilty pleasure of mine. I watched Finding Bigfoot, and then my wife will get mad at me because I start yelling at the TV while I'm watching it. Now, in my defense, I used to watch Finding Bigfoot while I was drinking. And I would drink and watch it and laugh at these idiots out there in the woods. We've had 9 seasons of Finding Bigfoot, 9 years now, 9 complete seasons. I think there's 12 or 16 even episodes per season, 9 seasons of it, hundreds and hundreds of expeditions and treks out into the wilderness to find Bigfoot. Remember, the show's called Finding Bigfoot, not finding knocking noises, not finding some blurry night vision camera footage that doesn't prove anything. It's called Finding Bigfoot. They never found Bigfoot, friends, and they never will. And it pains me to say that because everybody that knows me knows I have a big Sasquatch head on the front door of my cabin. I love Bigfoot, and I would love nothing more than for someone to find Bigfoot. But 9 seasons, 9 years. And we have to remember when we examine the paranormal pushers that are finding Bigfoot, that they have made fantastical claims that never panned out. You know, the Bobo guy, oh, we've got DNA. We've got DNA of Bigfoot. No, they didn't. They have DNA of bears. That's what they had, or DNA of people, not Bigfoot. So they've had 9 years of overhyping and under-delivering, right? Some little noise happens out in the woods. That's got to be a Sasquatch. This is how their show goes. Any little thing that they can pretend. They hear crunching in the woods in the distance. Oh, that's got to be a Sasquatch. No, it could be anything. It could be a raccoon. It could be a squirrel. It could be a deer walking around in the woods. The woods at night is scary, and I will admit that hearing things walk around, especially right now because it's fall and all the leaves are crunched on the ground, any little sound sounds huge, sounds like a big thing walking around. I just got freaked out at the cabin by a house cat. We heard something walking around while me and my friend Matt and his wife were at the cabin. We were in front of having a campfire, and we're all sitting there, and all of a sudden this huge house cat comes barreling out of the woods, running right at us, but it turned. And then even that can be mistaken. Like, one of them thought it was a fox. His wife thought it was some kind of cat, like a bobcat, and I'm like, no, it was a house cat. And yeah, it was a big old house cat. So, but Finding Bigfoot, 9 seasons, and you have to remember that they've got a huge budget. And they've got so-called professional Bigfoot investigators, right? Which I think a professional Bigfoot investigator is just as laughable as a professional UFO investigator. But it is what it is. They exist. So they've got professional Bigfoot investigators, the best of the best, only the best of the best on Finding Bigfoot. They've got all kinds of scientific equipment. They've got all kinds of budgets for getting experts and equipment and getting airplanes or drones to look for the Bigfoot creature. They've got tons and tons of resources and money to use to find proof of Bigfoot. To find Bigfoot. It's called Finding Bigfoot. And what do we actually get? Well, after 9 seasons, 9 years, we get super grainy photos. We get spooky green light, night vision footage of grainy blobs that literally could be anything running through the forest off in the background. We get knock noises. We get a lot of stories from people who claim they saw Bigfoot, and I guess those are valid, right? That's their personal experience. But that's all we get. 9 years of paranormal pushing, and they haven't found Bigfoot. And to be honest, I don't think they ever will. But they sure will have a season 10 and hype that up too. And again, this gets into the same thing. They overpromise, underdeliver, and it leads to the big letdown. Look at Finding Bigfoot promos. Just look at YouTube. Finding Bigfoot season 1 promo. Finding Bigfoot season 2 promo. And look at the hype train that those guys do to get people to tune in. They make you believe that they did find Bigfoot, right? And then you tune in, and it's more of a, oh, here's some grainy ass photo that could be a bear or anything off in the distance or a tree stump. They got nothing. 9 years of nothing, right? And when I think about this, sometimes it makes me sad for the people involved, right? Because that means that these people spent 9 years of their lives trying to find Bigfoot, and all they found was a whole lot of nothing. Yeah, this is the paranormal pusher. Now, my favorite paranormal pusher is Ancient Aliens, because they are the masters of the hype train and hyping things up. For those unaware, there has been 18 seasons of Ancient Aliens. That means 18 years, I guess. At least 15 years. There has been the show Ancient Aliens. And every season, every year, they get on the hype train. They hype out the wazoo. They overpromise, they underdeliver. Their promos are cut much the same way as Finding Bigfoot or Zach Baggins or any of these others. Put the spooky part, the unbelievable, the next season of Ancient Aliens, unbelievable evidence. More like no evidence. Yeah, it is unbelievable that you have evidence because you've had 18 years of this And you still haven't given us any smoking gun evidence, any smoking gun proof that this is an actual, real, true thing. It's a theory. The best evidence that we got from all 18 seasons of Ancient Aliens came from Eric von Däniken, who, by the way, was a convicted thief and fraudster before he wrote the books Chariots of the Gods that Ancient Aliens is largely based on. So the best evidence is a lot of not evidence. It's a bunch of tantalizing maybe proof. Could be proof. Maybe it's proof. Oh, stuff that makes you think. Wow, why are these native peoples drawing people with big heads? Could it be they're just were good artists? I don't know. That doesn't mean you go straight to the aliens, but that's what they do. It must be aliens. There is memes making fun of the big hair guy, right? I'm not saying it's aliens, but it must have been aliens. That's the whole premise of the show. They don't say it's got to be aliens, but they say it's got to be aliens. And the best evidence or proof that they had, if you could even call it evidence or proof, came in the first series from the book Chariots of the Gods, which, by the way, I read and I believed for a time before I woke up from that dream. It's the dream of ancient aliens. And it's a dream, friends, because you have to be dreaming to believe it. The evidence that they presented, even in the first season, which they crammed all of the best stuff from Eric von Däniken, a convicted thief and fraudster, and Zecharia Sitchin, a largely discredited hobbyist at archaeology, who incorrectly translated some tablets. That's what all of this stuff is based on. All of Ancient Aliens theory is based on a convicted thief and fraudster in the form of Eric von Däniken, who never proved anything. Never. Not definitively, period. No proof. The pyramids, they couldn't have been built by people. They were built by people. So, just because you can't figure out how they did it doesn't mean it was aliens. But again, paranormal pushing. There's much more money in a mystery. So Van Däniken and others like Zecharia Sitchin pushed the mystery, claiming that this theory had evidence or proof. But what we get is incorrectly translated tablets from Sumeria, from ancient Sumeria. And by the way, in the case of Zecharia Sitchin, real academics, real archaeologists all say that Zecharia Sitchin completely and totally mangled and mistranslated those tablets that all of his theories are based on. Those who from the heavens came, wrong translation. That's not what the tablets said. But the lie that was a correct translation of those ancient tablets gets repeated so much in so many different media forms and venues that people eventually accept the lie as truth. But it is a lie by omission, another hallmark of the paranormal pusher. Just lie by omission. Tell everybody that Zecharia Sitchin translated these tablets and they say this. Just leave out the fact that every credible archaeologist, every credible history expert on Sumeria they all will tell you he did not translate those tablets correctly. He didn't speak ancient Sumerian. He had no education in ancient Sumerian or how to translate ancient Sumerian historical tablets. So he botched the translations terribly. Then he based an entire theory of aliens coming here and genetically engineering us on mistranslated tablets. It's all based on a lie, friends. It's all based on a lie. But then the paranormal pushers come in and there's money to be made. So just tell everybody what he said. And then we lie by omission because they leave out that he completely translated those tablets wrong. 18 seasons. The first season, they burnt through any possible real proof or evidence or compelling, maybe proof even. And what remains after 30 years of people pushing this largely unproven theory and profiting from it is that exactly that. It is an interesting theory to think about, but it has no evidence, real evidence. It has no proof real proof. There's also Ancient Aliens drives me nuts with another lie by omission, because multiple times throughout the run of Ancient Aliens, they get some expert up on the screen who claims that the Vimanas are mentioned in these ancient Indian scriptures that detail these flying machines. And largely that's a lie by omission, because that was the Vimanas, that what they're referring to came from a book that was channeled in 1920. Not exactly an ancient Indian text, is it? But they keep on saying it. It comes from an ancient Indian text. That's their proof. Lies by omission. They don't have proof. 18 seasons of Ancient Aliens, they were not able to prove that the theory is correct. All they were able to do is make lots and lots of money, giving everybody maybe proof, could be proof, tantalizing, maybe someday people will prove this is true. No proof. The lie by omission is the hallmark of a paranormal pusher. Just leave out the part that this information was channeled by basically a New Age scammer in the 1920s. All this stuff about the flying Vimanas. Now, was there mention of flying machines in ancient Indian texts? Yes. But all the stuff about the Mercury and how they worked and all this stuff that Ancient Aliens puts out, it came from a book from 1920. Paranormal pushers also like to cross genres to make more money. That's another hallmark of a paranormal pusher. Because Corey Goode, it wasn't enough for him to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, perhaps millions of dollars, claiming to be a Buck Rogers time-traveling secret space astronaut fighting aliens in space and time traveling and getting age regress. That wasn't enough for him. Because recently as last year, Corey Goode started pushing ghosts and demons and shadow people and channeling. That was about a year ago. And interestingly, people are claiming that in his recent court depositions, Corey Goode is saying that all that stuff about his space adventures and time traveling, all those stories that he told for what, 3 or 4 years on Gaia television and got paid tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for those stories with no proof or evidence. All the stuff that he said, people are claiming, at least, I have yet to verify this, but several people have claimed that in his recent court depositions, he is now saying that all of that material came from meditative and channeling practices. In other words, he's never been to space. He just channeled that information. He meditated all those stories about, time traveling and being Earth's secret space ambassador. Great. There's the big letdown for you. And final example that we will offer here is James Rink Super Soldiers. This guy I love. That's another guilty. If you really just want to laugh at the ridiculousness of this stuff, watch the Super Soldier channel. Let's see if we find his channel, because when I want to get pissed off or sad about, the state of the world, I look at channels like that, because Super Soldier Talk, this this guy's got 80,000 subscribers, and every single person on here on Super Soldier Talk, by the way, he's been doing Super Soldier Talk since August 29th, 2007. So, that's quite a lot of years. 15 years? Where is the proof that a super soldier is a real thing? There isn't any. But that hasn't stopped James Rink from hosting many, many people, including people that I truly believe have mental problems. And look at this. He has gotten 4.6 million views. Where is the proof that there is a such thing as a super soldier? He's gotten 4.6 million views of people telling fantastical stories with, again, no evidence, no proof, no verifiable smoking gun evidence. And some of these people have made ridiculous claims, like they have laser guns that can come out of their arm. Some of them turn into the Hulk or the equivalent of the Incredible Hulk. They get activated and the super soldier serum activates in their bloodstream and they get huge. and then they can fight more aliens and on Mars and other planets where there's alien battles going on. Gee, sounds great, James Rink. Why don't you provide proof of this garbage before you keep making money selling stories? And that is my final point. The cart before the horse. We will circle back to that. So 80,000 80,000 subscribers you can get. Just host a bunch of mentally ill people or LARPers who want to be Captain America pretending they're a super soldier in space. And you too can get 80,000 subscribers or almost 5 million views. It just makes me sad, and it reinforces to me that people don't want the truth. The truth is boring. People want fantasy and escape. And these fake fantasy storytellers apparently tickle their ears and their imaginations and their hearts, and they tune in to hear all of these fantastical stories about the secret space battles going on that no one knows about except them, right? It is just absolutely ridiculous. And that, when I look at the views, that makes me sad. By the way, next week we're going to start hosting super soldiers here. I've decided we're going to have to pump up the views a little bit. So, but don't worry, we'll get you we're going to try to get like one of the good X-Men or Captain America maybe. So to circle all the way back to the beginning of our presentation tonight on Paranormal Pushers, the cart before the horse. Let's end our presentation with that, because James Rink is the perfect example of that. He's telling everybody he's talking to super soldiers, but he hasn't established that any one of them has any superpowers. Not once, and he's talked to hundreds of them. So wait a minute, James Rink, you have talked to hundreds of people claiming to have superpowers, and not once have any of the people claiming to have these superpowers been able to prove their superpowers? That's putting the cart before the horse. Why would you take all that money, James Rink, before you've proven that these people really have superpowers? You're the one hosting them, letting them tell everybody they have superpowers. Shouldn't you prove they have superpowers before you host them and take the money? The cart before the horse. Shouldn't James Fox prove that there's a video with aliens in it and put it in his documentary before he hypes up his documentary to make money? And there's no footage of the aliens in his documentary? The cart before the horse. Shouldn't Ancient Aliens prove the theory in 18 seasons? After all, everybody on that show's made tons of money, right? Well, some people get screwed. Like Richard Dolan says they didn't pay him. They just, he had to fly out there. Must be a pretty cheap show. But somebody, Prometheus Entertainment, made millions of dollars on Ancient Aliens. Shouldn't they have proved the theory? You made millions of dollars telling us this theory is true. The cart before the horse. Third phase of moon. Newly revealed Roswell 1947 images. Well, great. Can you prove those came from Roswell in 1947 before you take the money? Of course not. They put the cart before the horse, right? Why ruin collecting money for a fake story with a little thing like facts or evidence, or doing a 5-minute Google search, which will tell you those are not Roswell 1947 images? Again, the cart before the horse. Christopher Bledsoe is appearing at conferences and telling people a huge list of ridiculous claims. He's got superpowers and can heal people. He's seeing aliens, angels, demons, shadow people, fairies, Bigfoot. Or wait, Bigfoot, he was having Bigfoot dreams. I don't know. He's making this huge list. Orbs, flying saucers, UFOs, all of these things. All of these fantastical claims, cart before the horse. Shouldn't you prove that that stuff is true before you stand up at a conference getting paid money to tell people it's true, but you don't give us the evidence that it's true? the cart before the horse is the hallmark of the paranormal pushers, friends. So that's all I got as far as a presentation for tonight. We will take comments and questions from the live chat, and let's do something else, and we will read all of the super chats. For those unaware, there is some great ways that you can help us and support us. And one of those ways is by throwing money at us. There's a money button down there. Those are the super chats. You can send any amount you wish, and we read all of them. Great. So we have welcome to the show with 99 Pence, Great Britain Pence, with a unicorn super sticker. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And we appreciate you. And thank you for helping us keep the show going. Yeah. So anybody else feeling generous, please get those super chats in now. Gunner65 is here and says, and you too can do your own research. Yeah, I advise everybody, don't listen to the BS, right? LOL funny. Have you heard of the Linda Cortile Napoleano case? Vaguely, but I'm not very familiar with it. It is on my list of things to look into, and I wouldn't want to speak. I wouldn't want to have mouth and gear before having facts in hand. So that's one of the cases on my list to really do a deep dive and look into more thoroughly before I talk about it here. But thank you for your comment, right? King Edward is here and says, people love to be spoon-fed bullshit. Yes, they do. Pecker 2-9 is here. Great user ID, Mr. Pecker. From the Al Bielek School of Truth. Yeah, you just need a story. You don't need any evidence, right? Anthony Purcell doesn't Carrie Cassidy from Project interview some guy in prison that talks with the dinosaur people in the space war. Yes, he does, Anthony Purcell. That would be Captain Mark Richards, who was never in the Navy. He's not a captain. He claims he goes on space missions while he's in jail for life for multiple murders. But he teleports out of prison and he fights the dinosaurs in the space battle, and then he's nice enough, Anthony Purcell, to teleport back into his jail cell before the guards notice him missing, right? I guess there's some time travel and other things involved in that. Gunner65 says Al Bielek was a fraud. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, Oki's weird stories, Anthony Purcell. That was great. Oki busted them. For those unaware, there's somebody called Oki from Oki's Strange Weird Stories. By the way, I tried to get an interview with him. Never got a reply, but he's a busy guy. But he went to them and punked them. He just studied up on the lore and he just made up a bunch of stuff. And one of the things he made up is that it was a clone of Kevin Spacey who trained him to be a space marine or something. And they bought it. They loved that part of it. It was funny. He just made up a bunch of nonsense and he went to them and they loved it. They decided that he was a genuine space hero, right? Anthony Purcell, I think there must be a percentage of people that know it's fake, like the tabloid bat boy rags in the supermarket. It's just for entertainment. Yeah, quite possibly. Big Fat Creep said, I thought Zach was going to be on the show possessed. No, we try to get him. I've tried to interview him twice. He won't talk to me because he knows that I know about some of his hoaxes. Gigi Abby Lynn is here. Welcome, Gigi. Says, I think George Clooney and Amal Clooney are really pretty people. Okay. Yeah, well, that's what people are saying, but we have to be careful here. Chuck Bam says, for your information, Corey Good recently admitted in court that he made it up. I haven't read the transcripts, and until I do, I can't say that he said that. What I can say is that multiple people are saying he said that in the depositions, but I don't have evidence or proof of that yet, right? Yeah, everybody told me about that Oki video. It was probably Spooky said, stole a hat and sold it to pay for this super chat. Great. Well, thank you for your kindness, but don't do that. I got to give Spooky a super chat fund because Spooky likes to send them to get my attention here. Eventide is here. The kind and generous $5 super chat says, another common methodology of these people is to blame their followers or external entity for any missing timelines. Never their fault. Yeah. Or when they make these big, bold predictions and then nothing happens, they claim that we went into an alternate timeline event tide. I've heard that excuse before. Oh, it did happen, just not in this timeline. We went into an alternate timeline, right? Yeah, I have laughed at some of these let's just say less than intelligent people who follow the whole 17th letter of the alphabet nonsense. I have a family member. Can't talk him out of it. No matter how much I show him that it's fake, can't talk him out of it. He is all chips in on that garbage. Yeah. So any more comments or questions for me, please put them in all capital letters. Otherwise, I am going to bounce on out of here. We have still have some prepping to do. Actually, that's a good idea. Though I have hyped it before and then misfired, I'm sure this Wednesday, 9 p.m., we are finally going to do this Murder in UFO Land piece that I've been trying to get off the ground. This new series, actually. It's a whole new series. And it is about murder in UFO land. And so this Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time, we'll finally be debuting the first in the series. And this Wednesday at 9 p.m. details the murder by Christopher Gray, who, for those unaware, was all over UFO Twitter. He was interacting with people like Lou Elizondo and George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell on UFO Twitter. And then he stabbed his father over 100 times. And then he sent a very disturbing series of files to many, many UFO celebrities. And to this day, to the best of my knowledge, none of them have commented on why a man would stab his father 100 times and then send you a video about it. And I believe that video was a warning. And by the way, that video mentions the lady, Christopher Bledsoe's The Lady. The video that he sent is very disturbing. And in the video, he's standing over his gasping, dying father, I'm assuming. He was dying. I have the video is not going to be in our report for obvious reasons, but I had to see it. It's incredibly disturbing. And apparently it was Twitter DM'd to all the same people that are on this email list. Wednesday at 9 p.m., we'll be revealing the email list of all the UFO celebrities that Christopher Gray sent these disturbing files to on the same day that he murdered his father. It was a cryptic, strange warning to them. And what an incredible story. I believe that this man, Christopher Gray, was literally driven to kill by UFO profiteering hucksters. And I'm entitled to my opinion based on all available evidence. Now, was he disturbed to begin with? Probably, but I think that getting lost in a fairy tale land where UFOs and aliens are all 100% real, that he was spoon-fed by these profiteering UFO hucksters, might have driven him over the edge. So this Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will debut our new series, Murder in UFO Land. Let's take a sample of what's to come this Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The first in the new series, Murder in UFO Land. Let's get into it, friends.
Ollie, raise your fist. To truth.
This is the story about dangerous UFO cults and murder. This is the story of what happens when someone gets stuck or trapped too deep down the rabbit hole of UFOs and aliens on the internet. There is substantial and supportive evidence that can show that some people get caught or stuck too deep in that rabbit hole. To some, UFOs and aliens on the internet becomes an obsession. An obsession so deep that some are willing to do anything to keep climbing down that ladder. Some people believe that by climbing further and further down that rabbit hole ladder and getting closer to the gatekeepers, those who hold the secrets, that they will be given some secret knowledge that others just don't have. I've often wondered about some of the people I've seen or met on UFO Twitter. Many of those people spend 8, 12, or even more hours a day feeding their obsession. And their obsession only grows with each new promise of revelations soon to come. But all those revelations that these so-called messiahs of disclosure are out there promising everyone never seem to come. But they've sure got something new to sell you every so often, don't they? And isn't it funny how they never seem to deliver on the promise of that disclosure soon to come? And what about the people that are selling this delusional fantasy world to people with little or no evidence at times? Do they bear any responsibility for the negative impacts that the obsession with this delusional fantasy world can have on people's real lives? I have witnessed the damage that this unhealthy obsession can do to many people who get stuck too far down this rabbit hole. It can lead to lost jobs, lost marriages, people who have lost their children, people who have destroyed their lives, even killed themselves. And what about the people who stood there taking the money of these people, selling them this delusional fantasy world where disclosure is going to come any day now, where the government has alien bodies and flying saucers, and soon will reveal the truth about it? What responsibility do those people have? When people's lives are destroyed, when marriages are destroyed, when people take their own lives, or when people get so far down this rabbit hole that they lose all sense of reality, that they finally snap and murder those closest to them, and murder those closest to them, and murder those closest to them, and murder those closest to them. These are the true stories of murder in UFO land. Sadly, it happens more often than most people would ever imagine. Even sadder, almost none of the people selling the UFO narrative to the public dare mention this or even acknowledge it. The further and further we go down this rabbit hole, the curiouser and curiouser it will get. This is Murder in UFO Land. So there we have it, friends. This Wednesday at 9 p.m. for sure. I'm going to post the stream shortly after broadcast tonight. We are just about locked and loaded and ready to go. I wanted to be sure that we would be able to continue the series, and this has been a tremendous amount of work to get this new series together. And we want to thank Anthony Peterson for kind of generous $5 super chat. Says, when I first heard Chris Bledsoe, he sounded really sincere, but now that I see the list of paranormal claims he's making, his story strains credulity. Yeah, and it gets worse when you know what he and his people are telling people behind the scenes. And we're going to get into that. Again, Murder in UFO Land, the Christopher Gray story, premieres this Wednesday here on this channel, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I will post the stream later tonight. We're trying something new, which seems logical, but I don't know why we've never really done it. And that is to post the shows in advance. So thank you, Anthony Peterson, for your kindness, generosity, and support. We are posting shows in advance now because apparently the YouTube algorithm likes that. People go and visit and say something. Feel free to go and visit those streams. Go into the live chat and talk about those shows before they air. We will have a special presentation tomorrow as well. And that one's already posted. I will put the link to it. I will put in the live chat here. And this is tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Third phase of fake. The Cousin brothers admit to fraud. And you see, I did put a question mark. So just like them, that absolves me of anything. But I believe that they did. And we're going to go over what they said on Alien Addict's show, which I believe was an admission of fraud. And, of course, we get a quote from Rich, whose story keeps changing. Remember, the story was they never hoaxed anything. Then it was they never hoaxed anything in the past 5 years. This is what he said on Alien Addict's show. Quote, some of them, meaning the UFO videos they posted and alien videos they posted, were from their movies that they just took straight out and were CGI. And this is Richard Giordano, their puppet. And another quote from Alien Addict that I loved from the show. He really kind of took it to him. I was surprised. I was proud of him. He said, quote, listen, Blake, don't come around here with your big bullocks. And that's a quote from Ollie, Alien Addict. So we'll be covering exactly what they said wasn't an admission of fraud. Let me know what you think in the comments in the chat here. I believe it was. And luckily, because they did that on a channel that actually supports free speech and things like fair use, we're going to be able to play you exactly what they said. And we'll be talking about it tomorrow night, 9 p.m. We may also be sharing some additional evidence and proof that their fake claims that the debunks are wrong and all of these things are just another lie. And isn't it funny? We're supposed to take the word. They have no evidence or proof that the debunks are wrong. In fact, they wanted everybody to pay them. They're telling everybody all of the debunks are wrong. All the debunks are wrong, and we can prove it. But it's going to take us a year. It's going to take them a year to prove that 30 hoaxes were not hoaxes. They must be pretty good debunks then, aren't they? If it's going to take them a year of work to prove us wrong, then I would submit to you that those are pretty strong debunks. And another thing that I love is that I've now got, I think it's something like 10 clips of Rich from GoofOn saying that he didn't watch the documentaries, or he only watched 20 minutes of it in one clip. But most of the clips of Rich that we have are clips of him saying, well, I didn't watch it. He was going on Alien Addict's show to talk about the documentary, the second one, and he didn't watch any of it, according to him. But he's going to sit there and lie through his teeth and tell everybody that we didn't prove anything. How can Rich sit there and tell everybody we didn't prove anything when he hasn't seen the proof or evidence? Or was he lying? I want to ask everyone within the sound of my voice this question. If a documentary came out that claimed to prove that you were working for fraudsters, hoaxers, liars, cheaters, people committing fraud, and the documentary comes out that claims to prove that they're committing hoaxes and defrauding the public, would you watch that documentary? Or would you not watch it? Oh, I don't even if I don't watch it, then the proof's not real. If I don't watch it, then I don't have to talk about the overwhelming evidence that the documentary is correct, that Third Phase Moon hoaxed and faked all these things. If I just put on my blinders and don't watch it, I don't have to talk about it. How can he sit there? We've got him on 6 different shows, a few of his own, a few from, he goes on Ollie from Alien Addict. And in all the shows, some 6 of them, I think now, he claimed that he didn't watch the documentaries, but then he goes on his show and tells everybody how wrong those documentaries are, how we got it wrong. We didn't prove anything. They haven't hoaxed anything in the past 5 years. We still haven't proven it. How does he know if he is telling everybody the truth and he didn't watch the documentaries? Why would you put your mouth in gear before having the facts in your hand? No, there's 2 explanations here for Rich's claim that he hasn't watched the documentaries. One, he didn't, because he knows that there's overwhelming evidence and proof in those documentaries, and he doesn't want to have to talk about that. He'd rather just run around and call people pedos that are critical of Third Phase of Moon, or call people that say Third Phase of Moon are hoaxing things pedos. He'd rather do that. It's much easier. Or he is that dumb, and he didn't even watch the documentary, and he's opening his mouth looking completely and totally foolish because there is overwhelming evidence of fakery, fraudery, and hoaxery all throughout these 2 documentaries, and he cannot watch it because then he's going to have to defend it and defend his past stupid statements like, quote, Third Phase of Moon has never been caught hoaxing anything, unquote. I love it. Or the other possibility is that he, of course, watched these documentaries and he knows he has no arguments against the evidence, the overwhelming evidence presented by those documentaries. So he's going to pretend he didn't even watch them. But I want to ask everyone within the sound of my voice, how can you trust a person who, number one, works for the subject of the investigation? These are investigations. Both documentaries are investigations into Third Phase of Moon's hoaxes. How can you trust somebody who works for them to tell you they didn't hoax anything, and those guys who investigated everything and made those documentaries, they're lying, when he's also telling you he hasn't even seen the evidence? It's this lack of like logic on his part that surprises me. We're all supposed to believe Rich from Goofon is telling us the truth, right? You wouldn't be lying to your audience, would you, Rich? You wouldn't be lying to everyone, telling everybody falsehoods about those documentaries that you claim you didn't watch, would you? Why on earth would anyone believe you when you say there's no evidence or proof in these documentaries, when you yourself, in your own words, have said, I didn't watch it, or I only watched 20 minutes of it? It's amazing. So tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will do another show, Third Phase of Fake, the Cousins Brothers Admit to Fraud. And we will get into a counter argument for their fake arguments that the debunks are wrong, or why the debunks are wrong. Actually, they only said one of them was wrong, really. But we'll get into that one, because that was a Pepper's Ghost illusion, which, by the way, the Pepper's Ghost illusion that they did, for those unaware, involved a sheet of glass and a reflected light source. And it was very, very crude, by magic illusion standards, it was an incredibly crude illusion of something in the sky. So tomorrow night, I'm going to be showing you some of my Pepper's Ghost illusions, which were very, very advanced forms of a Pepper's Ghost illusion. And then people can decide if they're telling you the truth or not. And, you know, it is important that I say that I was a professional magician and illusionist. I've got a wall full of awards for illusions that I've created, including my Pepper's Ghost illusions. Maybe I'll dig those off the wall or out of a box somewhere. I was never big on accolades, and I'm certainly not tooting my own horn. But when an award-winning illusionist tells you, and I'm telling you this in my expert opinion, that November 2018 UFO over Los Angeles is a Pepper's Ghost illusion, a magic trick, you should believe me. I have not been caught faking things or hoaxing things in the past. I have not admitted to criminal acts like theft by deception to make money with fake UFOs or fake aliens. But I am an acknowledged expert on magic and illusions. And I'm telling you, that's a magic trick. I would recognize it a mile away. And if they want to continue to argue that that's not a magic trick, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a panel of 10, if I could get them, or maybe 5. Who cares? I'm going to bring in a panel of professional, all award-winning illusionists and magicians to all look at that and tell our audience here if that's a magic trick or a real object in the sky. I don't even want to do it because I don't want to call in favors so that a bunch of other magicians can look at this and tell you all the same thing I've already told you. It is a magic trick, a Pepper's Ghost illusion. But, you know, for some, no amount of proof is enough. And Rich is just, he keeps digging. He's digging that hole, man. He's going to dig a hole to China soon, right? Digging this hole so deep for himself. New excuses, new talking points coming to direct to him from Third Phase of Moon. Just keep repeating. Rich seems to think that if he just keeps repeating the same lies over and over again, people will believe him. And you know what? In some cases, it works because while on Alien Addict Show, Rich repeated the lie that I told him. Rich said that I told Rich that if you're going to be friends with Third Phase of Moon, I just can't be friends with you. This is like the 4th explanation that he has given for why he and I stopped talking. I never said that. Never. All I ever told Rich was that if you're going to work for Third Phase of Moon, you have no credibility in this genre because Third Phase of Moon has no credibility in this genre. I never said I couldn't be friends with him if he was going to work for them. I never said I couldn't be friends with him if he was going to be friends with them. I would never tell somebody who to be friends with. That's childish and stupid. If Rich wants to destroy his own credibility by working for the biggest fraudster hoaxers in this entire thing, who have been for 15 years now, who keep getting shown to post completely fake garbage information constantly, then, you know, I would caution him against it. And that's what I did. I cared enough to caution him against it. I said, you really don't want to work for them. If you want to sit there and tell everybody Elizondo's a fraud, you have no moral high ground while you're working for Third Phase of Moon, calling people frauds. That's ridiculous, Rich. That I did tell him. I never told him who he could be friends with. I never told him I can't be friends with you because you're friends with them. That's childish nonsense. No, I've said it 100 times now. I'll say it again, Rich. I stopped being friends with you when you suggested I had pedo friends and that might make me a pedophile. And that was directly after I was very critical of Third Phase of Moon. You did that the very next day. And of course, I said, I'm washing my hands of this guy. That was a stupid, silly mistake on his part because as soon as he did that, That and make fun of my physical disability. And isn't that great too? Because also on Alien Addict Show, this dummy tried to suggest that when he did the one ball thing with an arrow pointing at his eye in that video, that he was not making fun of my paralyzed eye. He was making fun of my testicles. And by the way, I have 2 testicles and everything's fine there. Why would he all of a sudden just come up with something that I only have 1 testicle? No, he's a liar again. He was talking about my paralyzed eye when he said I only have 1 good ball. And if he's going to sit there with a straight face and lie to everybody on a public live stream claiming that it wasn't about my paralyzed eye when he quite well knew that I had a paralyzed eye, that's why he did that. You know, like the weaselness of this. It's just, he's a weasel. Like, you did it. Be a man, you know, grow your own set of balls and own up to something that you did that was completely, totally wrong. But no, we've got a clip of him saying, I would never make fun of disabled people. I just wouldn't do that. And then we cut right to him making fun of disabled people. And while we're on that subject, the recent stupidity of him digging a hole was beautiful, because this dummy claimed that, I could say his name now, I guess, Gorilla Gamer. Rich from Goofon claimed that Gorilla Gamer was faking cancer. Great. He is now making fun of people who are battling cancer. And in his defense, Gorilla Gamer wasn't having this. He posted on Twitter publicly his cancer diagnosis, the name of his doctor. You could call his doctor and verify, Rich, you dummy. You can verify that he indeed has cancer and has a treatment plan that he is following to battle his cancer. But you did something so stupid, so disgusting. Like, every time you think it can't get worse and this guy can't do anything else weaselly or slimier, he does it. We're like, let's call, Paul from the Out There channel and Steve Campion are being very critical of Third Phase of Moon. Let's call them pedos. Let's call them pedos. Like, that's a disgusting, slimy thing. But then it gets worse, because then people started pointing out this Marina Sarin is talking all kinds of anti-Semitic stuff. She's a Holocaust denier. She's wearing earrings that are Nazi earrings, black sun pendants. It's a Nazi necklace, you dummy. What does he do? He goes on a public live stream and defends the Nazi girl. She didn't do anything wrong. Great. You're like, he's calling people pedos. He's defending Holocaust denier Nazi people. Now he's making fun of people, and he made fun of people with a disability, at least me. He's fat shaming people. He gets thrown off of Twitter for making fun of trans and gay people. Now he's going on a public live stream on his YouTube channel. He's done all this on his YouTube channel. How many goddamn community guideline strikes are we up to so far? You're calling people pedos with no evidence or proof right on your public live streams. You're fat shaming people. You're making fun of trans people. You are defending Holocaust deniers who are making anti-Semitic comments. By the way, do you think YouTube would take it well that Nazi girl called them JewTube and that there was some Jew conspiracy to stop people from seeing her work, right? And let's see, then he is making fun of disabled people. That's community guideline strike. Now he's making fun of somebody that's battling cancer, claiming that they are faking their cancer for sympathy or something. By the way, Gorilla Gamer's not even monetized. Why he would fake cancer for what? So people feel sorry for him and send him money? Nobody sent him any money, Rich. He's not monetized. This makes no sense. Like I said, every time you think it can't get any, he can't do anything else slimier. He does. And I guess what does make me sad is that people are still watching him. Like, people must like that kind of vicious nastiness, I guess. Yeah. So we'll take any comments or questions. Yes. Goofon last seen looking for an address to the nearest leukemia clinic to make fun of the kids. I cannot believe that it's gotten to this. I cannot believe it's gotten to this. And the fact that he will show his face on a public live stream every day after doing all those things. And again, he always says, like, I didn't do anything wrong. Is that stuff that he did wrong? I think so. And I think he should, be a man and admit to doing these things that were wrong. Nope. Even when called out about making fun of my paralyzed eye, he tries to weasel out of it and say he wasn't talking about my eye, right? Sure you weren't. You just all of a sudden decided I had one testicle for no reason. By the way, I got both my balls, and they're much bigger than yours, Rich. Much bigger than yours. Yeah. Yeah, I would like why goof on. I don't know what that's about. Be careful in the live chat making claims like that. Wally's Worlds. PC froze. Spooky says, oof. Some could wonder, how low will some people sink? I don't know why. Their mind is in the gutter and their hearts are black. Well, maybe, Frapsap. Maybe. I don't know what it is, but the fact that I have to argue with somebody of that level of immaturity and stupidity, like, it's just stupid doing those things. Like, even if he really is like that and he believes those things, you would think he'd be smart enough to just keep his mouth shut on YouTube. He could lose his channel. Those are all community guideline strikes, and the clips are all out there. The clips of him doing all that stuff are all out there. Rich said he didn't fat shame people on Alien Addict right after calling Anthony S4 Fat Tony. Yeah. And fat shaming, other show hosts, including Lou Jimenez and others. He did follow his parents to Florida. They paid for a good chunk of the mortgage on a house. He was supposed to pay the rest monthly. I don't really care about his finances. Well, look who he associates with. Of course, he's not going to own up to anything. Yeah. Deny. It's great. Deny. But we'll get into this stuff in more detail, and we'll go over what was said on Alien Addict show. But I will say this. I did at one time say that I was kind of pissed off at Ollie because Ollie tends to let Rich just lie. And in some cases, I'm sure that Ollie knew he was lying. But we've heard him say, oh, Rich is like a big brother to me. So maybe he doesn't want to call him on the lies. But I think Ollie did a fairly good job. He tried to get the truth out of Third Phase of Moon, but it's like trying to shake, venom out of a snake. Those guys are such weasels. All three of them, the Cousins brothers and Goofon. They are weasels, and that what they did was try to weasel out of it, right? Just try to weasel out of it. Not my rabbit hole with Terry Joyce is here. Oh my God, Anthony's fat. Really? Just kidding. Be nice to the guy. He's got a disability, so maybe he can't get to the gym, or who cares? I don't really care about somebody's appearance. And the fact that he has to constantly attack people's appearance, for what? Because they said Third Phase of Moon are hoaxers? Get used to it. Get used to it. And here's another thing. Rich. When you are going to keep doubling and tripling down, everybody's going to remember this. You had a chance here. You had an opportunity, a real chance to tell your audience the truth, to tell everyone the truth. And you didn't do it. You got real close on Alien Addict show, but then Third Phase of Moon swooped in to shut you up because you were getting dangerously close to saying that they're full of shit, which is what you should do. You didn't do that. You doubled down, tripled down. They never hoaxed anything in 5 years, never hoaxed anything in 3 years. The documentaries, by the way, the documentaries are both free to watch, and they're in the description of this videos. Both of them clearly prove that you lied to everyone. Those documentaries clearly establish and prove that you lied to everyone multiple times. And when you were given an opportunity to tell everybody the truth about your employers, instead of doing the right thing, you chose to go with them and dig your hole. You made your bed. Now you've got to lie in it. Because are they really going to change now? Rich? You think they're going to calm down all the fake shit because you're in hot water over saying they didn't fake anything? No, that's what they do is fake stuff. They love faking stuff. That's all they do is put out fake garbage. So going forward, everyone is going to remember what you did. You were at the crossroads and you made your choice. Now you got to ride that dead horse into the sunset, buddy. And good luck, because in a very short time, I predict in the next week or two even, Third Phase of Moon will post some other equally ridiculous hoax. And it doesn't matter if they filmed it themselves or just took it in. It doesn't matter how they generate the fake story. Third Phase of Moon will put out more fake stories very, very soon. And then everybody's going to go back to you and say, come on, Rich, you said they were doing things the right way. Come on, Rich, you were saying they never hoaxed anything. They don't fake anything. This is fake. And you're going to have to live with what you did. And people are going to remember this crossroads you were at and how you had an opportunity to do the right thing. And you chose those YouTube pennies. By the way, that's another thing. Third Phase of Moon goes on Alien Attic and says they don't pay Rich. Rich is on record. We have the clips of him explaining exactly how Third Phase pay him. So they can't even tell the truth about the people they pay or not, right? Oh, he's not on the payroll. Is that how you said it? So technically you weren't lying? He's not on the payroll, but he's a paid subcontractor. They give him YouTube ad revenue. They pay him. That's in the documentary too. In the description of the video, the documentary is there, and you too can see the truth. And, I'm losing my patience with this whole stupid argument, because the fact that I, who have no history of lying, who have no history of hoaxing anything, who have no history of faking anything, have to argue with three guys who have a history of faking things, lying and defrauding the public, I shouldn't have to argue. You know why? Because my credibility here is not in question. Third Phase of Moon's is. Rich's sure is, because he's defending their fakery, fraudery, and bull. But my credibility is not at issue here. And also what's not at issue is the fact that in a court of law, I could be considered an expert on magic tricks. Right? Don't want to pull Linda Moulton Hale, but I got boxes full of awards. So when I tell you that what they did in January 2018 is a very, very crude magic trick, then people should believe that. I'm an expert in those things, and I could take one look at that, and I did at the time take one look at it and say, Pepper's ghost, that's a reflection off glass. Any magician that I show that to would likely agree with me. And I don't know, the fact that we're still arguing over whether Third Phase of Moon faked anything is ridiculous. We've got the helicopter thing. We've got the fishing boat thing. And by the way, we are now in possession of clips of Rich even saying that they faked that January 2018 thing. So when were you telling your audience the truth and when were you lying to them, Rich? Because we've got the clips of you looking at something going, yeah, it looks like the same location. Looks like they faked that thing maybe, right? But now you say they haven't faked anything in the past 5 years, when you yourself said at the time they might have faked that. And I'm paraphrasing, but we have the clips, Rich. We've got the clips of you looking at these two locations and saying, yeah, it looks like the same location. That's what I think. I think they might have faked that one. Why would they need to do that at this stage in their career? Remember that, Rich? We've got the clip, bitch. All right, getting a little upset. And I apologize for calling him a bitch. I think that's probably too kind of a characterization of one goof on. So we've got a busy week here, friends, because tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to go over this third phase of crap again. And then Wednesday night at 9 p.m., we're finally going to debut our new series, Murder in UFO Land. And it starts with the Christopher Gray story. And you don't want to miss this, because wait till you see who's on the list. We're going to publicly show it. We're going to publicly show the list, the email list of all the people that Christopher Gray basically sent a murder confession video and warning out to. I believe, just minutes before he then stabbed his father over 100 times. It's all going to be shown, all the proof and evidence here, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I invite you to join us. So we'll take a few more comments or questions from the live chat, and then we will bounce on out of here. Okay. Big fat creep, great for you, but I don't want to share that because that's something called exposure, and I'm supposed to not expose how magic tricks are done. In this case, though, you have to when people are defrauding the public out of money. Steven, stop having integrity. You're going to make Goofon cry. Yeah, I mean, people should, there should be a scale, right? Like, if I'm telling you that this is a hoax, but I've never hoaxed anything or been caught hoaxing anything, and I've never been caught lying or lying to my audience like Rich has or Third Phase has, they stood in front of cameras and told everybody they were in the Philippines. That's lying to their audience. They have lied to their audience many, many times, or stood there and pretended they were seeing a UFO when it was a reflection through glass, or stood there and pretended they were seeing a UFO when it was a search helicopter, or stood there and pretended they were seeing a UFO when it was an overexposed fishing boat with lights on it. They lie to their audience a lot. I've never lied to my audience, never will, because I don't want to be in a position like this Goofon clown where he has to try to squirm out of all these lies, not realizing that people can clip all the lies and put them together and make him look like a total ass clown, right? But that's not, I don't lie to my audience because I don't want to lie to my audience. I don't need to lie to my audience because we've got the smart people here. The stupid people, no offense, are watching Third Phase Moon and Rich. Or a lot of it is that they're true believers. They so desperately want evidence, and there is no real evidence. So people like Third Phase of Moon swoop in with fake evidence that is music to the ears of the true believers, music to their ears and heaven to their eyes. They deceive everyone. They make money doing it, and some people love them for it. And some people will keep watching them no matter how many times they get caught faking things. And, that's kind of sad, but it is what it is, right? Al Warrior says, the only thing you hoax is the drum machine on your music. I wish it could be the real drummer to help you. Yeah, Al Warrior. Yes, you can. I'm going to work on a new album soon. And so email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com because one of the things I want is real drums through the whole album. No fake drums for me on the next project. And I'm doing a rock project. Just finishing up one album, getting into starting the other one in the meantime. S23 asking, what's up with David Icke? Grifter, psychic vampire, Illuminati agent. I'll tell you what, I saw that Renegade documentary recently on Netflix, and I thought it was very good. And I thought if all he had ever said is the stuff they show him saying in the Renegade documentary, I would support him. Because he talks about the rich and the powerful and how that we're in a prison and they don't want us to know we're in a prison, and it's good stuff. But the problem is all the reptilian aliens and interdimensional beings and all the stuff they cut, that they don't tell you he ever said, and all the racist and anti-Semitic things that he has said over the years. I don't trust him. I do not trust him. Not at all. Renegade is a good doc. Icke has gone off the rails now. Icke has gone off the rails now. David Icke. Yes. I think he's been off the rails. They just pulled him back so that they could sell that documentary, and they put the tamest, what they did in that documentary, Space Exposure, they put the tamest, most easy for people to accept things that he says in the documentary. And they cut out all the reptilian bloodlines and the interdimensional aliens and the adrenochrome and the kiddie porn rings and the pedo elite that are ruling the world. They cut all of the really crazy stuff out in order to sell that documentary. Again, paranormal pushers, cosmic cons, it is the swindle. They swindled everybody. If you just watch the Renegade documentary about David Icke, you'll agree with most of what he says in that documentary. But once you hear the crazy other stuff that they all just so happen to cut out of the documentary, you realize what a nutter he is and why people think he is a nutter, because of the crazy out there stuff he says. They put all the tame, easy to accept stuff in that documentary, right? Yes. Space Exposure says, I have 3 of his earlier books. I heard he gets crazier as time goes on, so that could be it. That very well could be, I think that they purposefully left out all the craziest stuff he's ever said so that they could sell the documentary. So that's all we got for you tonight, friends. I'm going to bounce on out of here, but please remember, tomorrow night, 9 p.m., another lashing of third phase of fake, and we'll have some new information to share with you, as well as a rebuttal of sorts of the ridiculous lies they told on Alien Attic show. And Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time this week, we will have the debut of our new series, Murder in UFO Land. The first episode, Wednesday at 9 p.m., is the Christopher Gray story, which is a really sad story and shocking when you hear who he was communicating with and who he was sending messages with and who he was DMing on Twitter, including a video where he was basically standing over his dying father, ranting and raving, all sent to some names you may be familiar with, and all will be revealed this Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Please do join us. So that's all I got for you. Until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.